Well, now we are going to talk about the chapter number 8, Advanced Cisco DNA Center. Mostly of this book, that is the basis for these videos, talks about the SD access, software defined access. But the software defined access is just one single aspect of what we have, which is called DNA Center. And this topic, this chapter, covers some of the features that the Cisco DNA Center has available for its operators. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subtopics. The first is Cisco DNA Center architecture and connectivity, software image management, Cisco DNA Center templates, plug and play, Cisco DNA Center tools. Well, Cisco DNA Center architecture normally talks how the DNA Center can be configured. We can install it using one single uh, node. It's not recommended. We just do this normally for labs, but for the production, what is recommended is to have at least three nodes cluster. Three node cluster. In these nodes should have a communication between them less than 10 milliseconds. The round trip time between the nodes should be less than 10 milliseconds to have a good performance. And normally for the DNA center, also called Cisco Catalyst Center, it can be used in one appliance, or the more recent ones can also be installed in the cloud. For the appliance, normally we use the Cisco um, UCS, what is the Cisco servers that were prepared to receive this appliance. It's a machine based on the Linux virtualized that runs very well the Cisco DNA Center. About the connectivity, there are some different interfaces inside the DNA Center. We have the CIMC, what is used for management, basic configuration, doing from the that is done from the BIOS. We have the intra-cluster communication, the communication between the nodes inside the cluster. We have the enterprise interfaces, what is used to communicate between the DNA center with our routers, switches, and the networks inside our infrastructure. And we have also the internet, because sometimes our DNA center will need to download configuration that is only available from the cloud. How it's done normally, the intercluster must be an interface separated, and the CMIC, the enterprise and the internet, then can go down and connect to our enterprise infrastructure. Passing to the software image management, from the DNA center we can manage the software that is used inside the devices that we have um, in our network. Um, and this can be done by different ways. Instead of going to each device at a time and then load the firmware that must be used and then uh, point the boot to this new firmware, this can be a very repetitive task, and the DNA center allows us to do it easier. So how it is done? Normally, the firmwares for the devices in our infra can be stored inside the DNA center or another local repository. and then from this DNA center will be used to configure our devices. And this process of the configuration of different devices can be done separately. It means the first date you can schedule just to send the firmware to the devices. Each device should have the right firmware and do the pre-check. Why do we do the sending of the firmware in advance? It's because it will allow us to do this operation in one time that we have less traffic inside our network and not impacting our other services available. And then in the other day we can do the upgrade of the firmware. So this is a process that can be done using the DNA center, and it can check also which firmware has each devices, and we can define what is called the golden image. And when we have a golden image, the DNA center will compare this golden image to see if this image is the one being used in our switch, for example. And if it's not, it will alert us to have this implemented uh, right away, allowing us to be in compliance with what should be used inside our network. Passing to the next, Cisco DNA Center templates. Instead of configuring, for example, we need to change the CLog server. Instead of going to each of the devices, we can do it via template. Define the IP of the syslog and push the template to a specific site or globally into all the devices inside our network. Normally the templates can be used using a script or using a language like the VTP, VTL, or we can also use the CLI and push the CLI configuration to the devices. After creating the templates, we will correlate the templates to network profiles. The network profiles will be associated to a specific site. And then if we want to use the template to apply the template to the devices, we can push it via provisioning. Okay. Normally we have different types of templates. We have what we call 0-day. It's a template that is used when we have the device online, and we can have the end-day template that can be used after the device is already in production, in use in our infrastructure. Plug and play a very good feature because it allows us to have the devices online very fast and avoid the utilization of time and resources that we don't need. How is the plug and play used? We can have a blank device, a device without configuration, put it in our network, and our DNA center will discover the device and then will provision with a template. Normally we use the 0-day template for the device that was not configured yet. It will push the 0-day template and the device will be ready to be used inside our network. Cisco DNA Center tools, these subtopics, there is some tools specific that are used, like the topology. You can see how are the devices interconnected in our network. The second one is the command runner. We can run verification command in one single device or in multiple devices in the same time. And the third tool is the security advisor. What does it do? The DNA center you see in the Cisco database if the devices in our network are using the good, the security, um, we compare with the security information that is in the Cisco database to see if our devices are vulnerable or not. If it's not vulnerable, it can recommend which patches should be done to the devices in order to be according or compliant with the security advisors. So these are some of the features that DNA Center has that help us to use it in our network to manage very well at our devices and to have it efficiently and not consume time that should be used for other things. So let's go continuing exploring the software defined access and also the Cisco DNA Center.